Hi, everybody. We are back for our second episode of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Just in case you're just cluing into this one, just want a quick reminder that we are talking about the whole series. So if you haven't read the whole series all the way through Silver Flames, we will be spoiling things rampantly. It's just we can't stop ourselves, which is why these are the rules. We will also potentially talk about other Moss series, but we'll do that at the end, and we will warn everybody beforehand. So if you haven't read all of those books or any of them, don't worry, we will not spoil anything for you. You will have ample time to shut it off and then go catch up on whatever books you haven't read yet. Come back and join us. And at this point, we've done episodes for most of them, so you can go watch those as well. But yeah, we're doing our second episode, chapters 16 through 31. We keep changing a little bit what we're doing, so thanks for sticking with us. At first, we were going to do 2 episodes. We were going to do the second one live. We said we were going to do this one live. We lied, I guess. We didn't know at the time, but we decided we really want to do Under the Mountain live, so that's going to be next week. I know we will. We'll share date and time with you very soon if we haven't already by the time we get this posted. So, yeah, join us. We'll be on Twitch. But yeah, do we want to dive right back into probably our least favorite conversation topic of A Court of Thorns and Roses and discuss Tamlin and Feyre's relationship? I tried to twitch as much as possible in that facial movement.
I mean, I feel like it's not the worst topic. Next book we're gonna have to talk about Yanthe or whatever her name is. I can't pronounce things.
Yes. Thanks for reminding me about her. Ooh. You're right. You're right. Worst topic of today. Tamlin and Feyre. They do way more
I
than
thought
I wanted
it
to
was
read
cute.
about.
It was cute. I think he's a really great partner for her where she is right now. It's good for her to get a break and just like have someone taking care of her after she's been taking care of everyone around her. Like I just think it's like, is he the best partner? Absolutely not. But is it kind of what she needs right now to an extent up until he kicks her out and it's the worst? Kind of.
You're so right, Elena. Honestly.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm being dramatic. Like I still am full Tamlin redemption arc at some point. I don't know what flavor that's gonna take, but yeah, I think that they definitely fit. Like you can see them both falling in love with each other. It is really cute in parts, and then I like remember that I don't love it and I'm a little ashamed of myself. But yeah, there are really cute moments with them.
Yeah, I mean, there were some signs, some red flags that we definitely kind of ignored the first read through. Because, like, who doesn't like a morally great character, you know?
Right.
But like, there's just so many signs about his temper, reeling it in. I mean, there was a scene where this was like off screen, or where he destroys a room, but she could hear him doing it.
Oh,
Like that.
Tamlin, destroyer of furniture.
Yeah.
Oh no. If only this is the first room he destroyed in this series. Like the last room he destroyed.
Oh, yep. That definitely foreshadowed. Like that was definitely a foreshadowing. And then there was another line foreshadowing Mist and Fury where he goes. This was in chapter 22. He goes and tells her, "No, I don't want you to live somewhere else. I want you here where I can look after you, where I can come home and know you're here, painting and safe."
Yeah, I highlighted that one too.
I think there's another line. I'm not going to waste time looking for it, but when he's like explaining to Feyre that she needs to go, he says that specifically what bothers him is that he can't reckon with the thought of her being in their hands. It's not I can't see you get hurt. It's not they'll do things to you that, it's I can't see you in their hands. It's like a very possessive way of saying it. And like the thing that I kept grappling with is we have all read books where we love the like, who do I have to kill? Like, possession can be great. I will admit, my favorite scene in this whole book was the cookie in the hallway scene after Cal and Mai. So hot, loved it. The claws came out, they're in the wall, loved it at the time. And I think that, like, I think we all agree that there was a way in which Tamlin, like, grew along with Feyre and, like, realized that, maybe I need to tone it down a bit or, like, focus it on the people that deserve it and not, like, trashing dining rooms and, like, being really possessive and violent toward the person he's supposed to love, and he just doesn't get there. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's classic Tamlin when he's like, I don't know how to deal with not being in control, so I'm just gonna remove you from the situation." Where he's like, "You don't get a say. I'm telling you to leave, and you are leaving tomorrow morning."
I mean, I think that you can see it that way, and I'll listen to that, but I see this as, like, the one truly selfless thing he does, the stupidest thing he does because of what we know is going on, and Lucian's literally standing there like, "You can't wait 2 more days," but it's interesting that, like, and reading it again, it's very clear to me now that, like, through the whole scene with Reese, as Reese is, like, doing all his shit with them when he sees Feyre with them for the first time in the dining room at the spring court, like, he is specifically trying to get Feyre, like, not out of there, but he's trying to, like, get Tamlin to make sure that he protects her, and Tamlin just takes that the wrong way and is like, "I'm gonna send her away," and it's like, my guy, we're right there. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
frustrating.
yeah. I mean, I agree it is selfless on Tamlin's part because it is not in his best interest to send her away, but I also think the act of him unreasonably not listening to Lucian and not listening to Feyre and literally not listening to anybody around him is classic red flag Tamlin.
It's his biggest character flaw where he is like, I know the best thing and I will listen to no outside comments about it. Yeah, yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, he doesn't see them as his equals too bothers me. Like, there was a line where
Mhm.
she even acknowledges it, where she's like, "I already knew he would allow me to help with whatever this conflict was."
Yeah, it's and I think to, like, when similar things happen when Feyre is with Reese and it's, okay, like, we're gonna bring you into this war and we're gonna tell you everything and you're going to help us. And, like, he's still protective sometimes, but, like, fully trusts her abilities and, like, he trusts her with information and is just like, hey, be careful in this situation. Or, like, maybe I won't tell you, you might get, like, locked in that, underwater room that you might die from, but, like, I'll make sure you don't. It's very different. Like, Tamlin does not, like, clearly does not trust Feyre's abilities. He loves her, but, like, not like she needs it. Sad.
Mhm.
But yeah, I loved, like, because I listened to the book twice. So this is the first time that I'm actually, like, reading it on paper and, like, rereading that scene where Reese comes to the spring court. It was so clear that, like, everything that's going through his mind is like, okay, there is a way to beat Amarantha, which I really want to do. But at the same point, like, I need to keep this woman safe because there's something between us. I'm going to ignore all the thoughts in her head that I'm seeing about her and Tamlin, but, like, how do I keep her safe and also break the curse? And just, like, the little, like, read between the lines stuff that he's saying and doing. I was just like,
His acting skills are, like, so on
amazing.
point in that scene.
Oh my God.
Like, him pretending to realize she's in the room when he definitely knew she was in the room the whole time.
Well, no, so I don't think he does because I believe even as he's recounting the past for her when he's, like, telling her everything, he says that he didn't know at first and that it was a huge shock to him that he didn't realize that the mortal woman that he met at Calanmai, who he realized was the person that he had been, like, seeing the visions through,
Mhm.
was at the spring court. It, like, wasn't until he saw that third plate that he was like, "Oh my," and then just, like, goes off because he realizes what's happening.
Yeah, and realizes that they're
Interesting.
falling for each other.
Mm. Yeah, it's so interesting, just all the stuff that he says. I also highlighted that the first time he talks to Feyre, he says, "What's your name, love?" I was like, "Come back."
Just like how he knew that was a fake name, but not realizing it was a
Yeah,
real person.
right. Yeah, that's a huge mistake that he makes, but like, yeah, we all do it.
I
Poor
mean, Feyre
Claire.
made the mistake too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, nobody's perfect. Like, I think we've said that about like Sarah's worlds multiple times, is that it's great that she's so good at writing like very real characters. Like, nobody is perfect, nobody's entirely awful. Like, everybody is some shade of gray. It's great. But yeah, very interesting to read this scene, knowing everything that we know from later on in the
Right.
series. I love it.
And there were so many like mating bond language that I
Oh,
didn't pick up the first time.
oh, Jamie,
Like the
read lines
string
for
that
us.
that is pulling her towards Calanmai.
You're so right. I didn't even put that one down. I
I'm
didn't.
shocked.
Oh, I'm
You're like
also a
the
shade of
mating
gray,
bond
Jamie.
hunting
I can't
queen.
I can't catch everything. I'm not perfect. Yeah. It was really interesting. One thing that I did, which is, again, like probably me being a little too over the top, but that scene where Tamlin, after the summer solstice party, like takes her into the grove to go see the will o' the wisps. Every single like I think 7 or 8 times she talks about how it like looks like moonlight and it's moonbeams and there are stars, and I'm just like, even in this moment you are standing with this man in the middle of summer, like all you can think about is how much you love the night, and just like, oh, sigh.
That's so sweet. I didn't catch that. See?
Yeah, yeah, it talks about moonlight like a bunch of different
Enjoying the
times.
moment that they're about to kiss. And I'm like, I remember reading it for the first time, just like, kiss already.
Yeah. Yeah, like I can definitely admit, like I fell for Tamlin hard the first time that I read it. Like he's great and like, yeah, like possessive, but like in a sexy way, and like, who can I punch these claws through? Like like I ate it up. It was just like when it got to be too much in the start of the second book, when it was clear that he was never going to listen to her opinion or believe that she could handle herself. And it's just like, okay, buddy, now it's not cute. Oh, Tamlin.
They both went through like character development though, so
Oh
that
yeah.
that was great.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting too, like, and I've seen like the similarities between this, but like Feyre getting drunk off her ass at the summer solstice party and like dancing for like the music and like Tamlin's Tamlin's fiddle playing. And then like connecting that with when she's under the mountain and like doing the same stuff, and like Reese is giving her like wine or whatever it is, like something to drink, so that she doesn't remember what happens under the mountain, but like she knows that like she just like loses herself in the music. And it's just interesting, like the differences, because in the summer solstice one I noticed that like Tamlin's just like absent, just like playing his fiddle. He's basically been like, here, human girl, like good luck, like hope nothing bad happens to you, while Lucian is the one who's like running after her, being like, you need to be careful, don't drink the wine, oh my goodness, like you almost impaled yourself on a stone, like on a big rock. And like Lucian is the one who cares more about Feyre's well-being, like really and truly, than Tamlin does. And like in a similar scene under the mountain, it seems like Reese is being awful and like making her wear this like revealing clothing and getting drunk and like dancing with him suggestively, but he's taking better care of her than even Tamlin did at summer solstice. Just like, how did I not pick up on this the first time around? I'm
Don't
ashamed.
worry, you're not alone.
I think a lot of us fell for Tamlin. Like I take my hat off to the people that like the minute that Reese says like, there you are, I've been looking for you, they were like, and I've converted. It's like, no, no. I mean, I was intrigued, but I didn't think he would be for Feyre. I thought he'd be for someone else down the line. Yeah. What other parts did you guys like pick up new stuff on, or like love or hate?
I was trying to look through my highlighting. I feel like I highlighted Oh my god, now I just lost my highlights. I highlighted when she is talking about Reese and she's like, "He is so scary and, like, so much I could never paint him. I will never in my life paint this man." And I was like, "Won't you? Won't you?"
So many times. It's interesting though because like Reese has two different personalities basically. Like he has his under the mountain scary Reese, which is entirely what he's being in that moment. And then his like real Reese. And I think part of it is like maybe she doesn't ever really paint that Reese, and I don't know that she does, like his scary facade version. But it's when she like learns who the real person is that she can capture him.
I feel like she says a lot of things and then it changes. Like her telling Tamlin, "You didn't put me as a prisoner," and that changes in the next book.
I didn't even like really connect that when I read that line. Yeah. That's so true. Because like she's being genuine is that like, he could have like thrown her in a dungeon for all she knew at the beginning, but he's treated her really nicely for his own selfish reasons, but like has treated her really nicely. But yeah, oof, that house does become a prison eventually.
Lucian is such a bad wingman. He's like, "Here I am trying to wingman, but also like, I can't believe you guys kissed. Stop looking at each other in front of me." Like,
Yeah.
Lucian, you're supposed to be encouraging it, not being like, "Ew."
Yeah. I think Lucian can't help himself. Like that just is who he is. And I think he's like he's glad that it's happening, to break the curse, but at the same time, I think he's probably like a little disgusted that his best friend is shacking up with a 19-year-old mortal girl. Yeah.
Can we talk about Cal and Mai?
The good part or the gross part?
Okay, good. You also thought it was gross.
I have always
So
thought it was gross. So that's like one thing that I'm proud of myself from first book is that I was like, do we really have to do this? Like every year? Every year?
Yeah. Like, and they kept saying how like all the High Lords do this, and I'm like, what?
Don't. Yeah. No, and I caught that, Jamie, where I think it was Lucian, excuse me, saying like, yeah, that like all the High Lords do a version of this. And I was like, no, they don't. You're the only weirdos. And it made me think of the tithe in the next book, how, we and Feyre are kind of just like blindly going along with like, oh, this is how Prithian works. And it's like, it doesn't though. And it makes me question like, does Tamlin have to bone a random lady every year in order to sow magic into the ground? Or like was that just an excuse his dad came up with? Because I'm thinking it might be column B. Yeah. Gross.
Good theory.
Who knows if we'll ever find out. But yeah.
I mean, they say like Tamlin like was not himself. So how does that happen?
Right. And like there's definitely some sort of magic there that's like compelling him to do this, but it just makes me question like that Tamlin has really never questioned the things that were passed down from his dad. And like even he knows his dad was an awful person, awful ruler. And it's like maybe we should think more critically about the stuff that's going on in our lands and even just like maybe have a quick chat with someone in another court to be like, "Hey, like do you have to do this weird ritual cuz I don't love it." Or maybe you do.
Like, do the other courts participate in this or tis, whatever it's called?
Oh,
That
the
we see in
tithe.
the second book,
No.
you know?
No, Reese is very clear on both of them that the Night Court does not do a weird sex ritual in the spring and that they don't have a tithe. He's like, yeah, no, that's not necessary. That's just something the spring court has chosen to do. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Calanmai is the spring court spring court holiday that coincides with
Iron Knight,
Star.
yeah.
No, it's Starfall,
And
right? Starfall and
oh, I
Calanmai are
don't
the
know
same
if
dates.
I don't
I
know.
didn't think so. I think Starfall's in the winter, isn't it? Isn't it like a New Year's type thing?
Oh,
Maybe
I think
not.
you're right. Yeah, it's like a
No,
holiday. Yeah.
Yeah,
Starfall's a
I thought
different.
Starfall.
I think it's different. I'm gonna
I
look it
don't
up
know.
for next
Okay.
time. But I know that Reese talks about how hard it was for him to not be able to do Starfall, and that, like, for the 49 years, Amarantha would basically, like, keep him in her room doing unspeakable things, every time that Starfall would come around, and I thought I remembered him saying that this was, like, the one year that she let him out, but he still couldn't go back to the night court because he had to, like, go, like, check on the spring court at Calanmai when he was allowed through the borders. But yeah, I'll double check, but I know it coincides with one of the weird spring court holidays.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think the winter solstice comes first, and then Starfall. If you were talking about like holiday chronological
Yeah.
order.
Yeah, they're definitely different,
But there's
but
Calamai, aka Fire Night, and
mm,
then the ritual, which is the Great Rite. Ick.
gross. Just yeah, it's icky.
Apparently,
Yeah.
Starfall happens around the spring equinox. Is that also when Calamai happens?
It's Calanmai. Yeah. Yeah, I just remember
But
because
to think
I
that like this could have been avoided for Lucian in the next book.
gross. That's right, poor
Mhm.
Lucian. Ugh. Blech. Yeah, I don't like Calanmai. I think it's weird. Hopefully we can break the spring court of Calanmai when, like, maybe there's a different ruler or something. I
Mhm.
don't know. We'll find out.
Or Elaine doesn't put up with it.
So
As
we don't
highlighting the spring court.
so we don't start a fight about Elaine and Tamlin. Um yeah, we didn't actually talk about Reese like finding Feyre at Calanmai in the last episode, which I'm totally okay to talk about because oh my god, so hot. So
Goosebumps.
every time now. Every day. And even the first time, because again, it's like she says, like, he's the most beautiful man I've ever seen. It's like, oh yeah. I
And
and
to and to remember, like he can read her thoughts. So he knew what she was thinking,
yeah.
which is the best part.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, reading it back, and just seeing that moment, just like, oh my goodness, like how did you let her walk away? Just like wondering when you would see her next. But Reese is poor Reese. He's going through a lot right now. Poor boy. Every time, like, because I know the first time that I read the scene where he comes to the spring court and accosts Lucian and Tamlin, like, I was so angry with him. I was entirely on the like, Reese is the worst person, such a villain. Like, how dare you make them bow to you? And I was just like thinking about Tamlin and Lucian calling him Amarantha's whore and like thinking that he's this awful person because they genuinely do. Like they think he's this awful like murderous person that is shacking up with Amarantha to like keep his court safe and like they're not entirely wrong, but at the same time like the PTSD that this man has after these 50 years is quite high. Hmm.
And I think Reese even made a comment about that, about how he's been under the mountain or something, right? And then comparing it to how Tamlin gets to live in the Supreme Court, not having to deal with her at all.
Yep. That like Tamlin's basically been given this 50-year reprieve that none of the other High Lords have been given to try and break this curse that Amarantha has set to him. And like, it's its own kind of torture. Like I get it. It's not like Tamlin has just been like, doop to doo, like enjoying the last 50 years of his immortal existence. But at the same time, like it was so clear in this read through, like how pissed Reese is at him that he has like just dragged his feet this whole time and then
Mm.
realizing that he's like close to making it work. It's yeah, just like the amount of like the number of emotions that must be going through his mind at that point to be like, you could have done this sooner, dude. Like, but don't mess it up. But also, I want this
And
one, so like, don't hurt her either.
immediately messes it up.
Immediately messes it up. Immediately. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting though, because I mean, like, so Tamlin says that he loves her to Feyre twice. Um, in like a last ditch effort to try to get her to say it back. Which I don't know if like I feel good about or icky about. So I'm just like, I believe that you do love her, but at the same time, even up until that last moment, you're like still trying to like eke out that like curse breaking. And Feyre doesn't say it back. And it's like, yeah, because you don't
There was,
actually love
there was-
him.
yeah, there was a comment he made about him loving like her human side. Like this is like one of the reasons why he loves her is because of her human, like seeing her joy and like how she experienced things being human.
Hmm.
And I don't know, like that just kind of turned me off a little bit when I was
Yeah.
reading that. I don't know how you guys felt.
No, I totally agree with you, Jamie. And I was noticing that like and like I do truly believe that Tamlin thinks he loves her and like
Yeah,
wants to keep her, wants to make this work. But it's interesting that he like loves her like a pet. He's like, "Oh my goodness, this cute little mortal. I love her so much. I'm going to keep her and keep her safe and love her and feed her and she'll have a great life." And it's just it's so interesting to see like the differences in love between like how he feels about Feyre and then like how Rhys feels about Feyre, where like she is an equal and even if he loses her, like he will still do what's best for her. Yeah. When you guys read the book the first time, and I know this is kind of like going ahead a little bit to Under the Mountain, but it made me think of it. When Amarantha gives Feyre the riddle that ends up being love, did you guys know immediately that it was love? Because like I knew immediately it was love. No, Jamie, you didn't know.
Yeah.
You didn't know what it
uh,
was. That's okay.
I'm also terrible at riddles, so
No, totally fine. I just like and there was a part of me that was like, okay, if I was Feyre, maybe I might not say it out loud because there's always a chance that it might not be because I'm also not the best at riddles. But it just seemed like very telling that to me it seemed like fairly obvious that it was love and it wasn't to Feyre. And I think that's like very telling that it isn't until after she goes through everything under the mountain and I think like finds real love that she knows what the answer to the riddle is, but she doesn't before she like has everything with Rhys.
I'm just so
I
excited
agree.
for the scene where he bets on her against the worm. I'm so excited.
That's a good
Midnight
one.
Worm, such a good scene, like easily one of the best like Feyre scenes.
Yeah.
She's
And
just
that,
so
but that's
capable. What, Elena?
oh, I was just gonna say, but that's getting way ahead of where we are.
Yeah, I mean, we're just all very excited for Under the Mountain, which is why we decided that that's going to be the live episode because we hope that you guys are as excited to talk about it as we are. Because like it's not as exciting to talk about like dropping a chocolate cookie in the hallway and going to see some sprites after your boyfriend plays the fiddle for you while you're super drunk.
But he's so good at playing the fiddle.
He's so
No, he
yeah,
plays a mean fiddle. That was the line.
plays a mean fiddle.
And her
Um,
hair is so clean in that scene.
it was cute though when she like comes down the stairs in her like summer solstice dress, and Lucian's the one that's like, "Oh my goodness, like you almost look fey." And
He has such a way with words. I feel like he has one of the best lines in this book.
yeah, I and like Lucian is also being underhanded in this whole thing. Like they can't tell Feyre about it. That's part of the curse, and like I get that, so I don't
Right.
hold
Yeah.
it against either of them a lot. It's like this is something they have to do. It's not that they want to do it. But Lucian's like so honest with her in a way that I feel like Tamlin doesn't quite get to. Where Lucian like really he treats her more like an equal and like they hate each other at first, but
Even if
yeah, he just like
they
is
could have
genuinely
genuine
kind to
lover.
her.
That was one of the terms I would say to describe Lucian is that he's genuine
Yeah.
when I was doing this read through.
Yeah.
Every time Lucian's like, "Oh, I have very important emissary stuff to do. Gotta go. Bye, guys."
Don't want to cock block.
And Lucian was gone before I could even say no. Don't go.
Yeah.
One thing
Yeah.
I forgot about him was that he crafts weapons.
Mm.
I don't know if you guys remember that, but that's just like one of the things like, oh yeah, he does that.
Yeah, he's like a big weapons guy. Like when Pharaoh walks into his room and it's just like a table full of weapons.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
gave her his bejeweled dagger.
Mm.
I've
Bejeweled
said it
Should
dagger.
before.
we? Oh, what were you gonna say, Elena?
I was just gonna say, I've said it before and I'll say it again, bring back not sad boy Lucian.
Yeah,
Bring back not sad boy Lucian. I think we're all
absolutely.
hoping for that in the next book. Like if it means that he ends up with Elaine and they somehow work that out, okay. But like, yeah, bring back not sad boy Lucian. Like Lucian was gone for almost all of Silver Flames, like doing important stuff, but like also gone. And I just want him more. Like I want him to be front and center more.
Yeah, I wanna see more banter with whoever
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
interacts with.
Anyone, a wall, I don't care as long as we
Oh,
get Lucian banter.
more Lucian, Sarah. You heard it here. Not first, probably 2 millionth. But
Yeah.
Um, Talking about Silver Flames, can we just talk about how proud I am of my girl Nesta in the last chapters for
yes.
finally, like, still kind of being the worst, but like at least be like showing that she cares a little bit. That's a big step for her.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these couple of chapters toward the end are like what we look back to when Nesta is like making her journey to being like a really good functioning person. Like we can see in this moment, like, okay, you went to try to go save Feyre. Like you have the best of intentions. It's just she can't get out of her own way because of how angry she is with everybody and everything that's happened to her. But you
So
see
angry,
it.
like misdirected anger. And I like that like Feyre was kind of growing too, because she like took a step back, looked at Nessa in like in a whole new light. So I was proud of both of them,
Yeah,
really.
all three of them, like even Elaine too, like she has some really great conversations with Elaine and sees like how Elaine has thrived, like being able to like tend her own garden and like pick out her own plants and like be the master of her own world. And I love that. And
Mhm.
Elaine says to Feyre, she's like, you just seem really different. And it's like, because I think that even in this time that Feyre's been across the wall, like she has already done a lot of growing. Like she's realizing that she too can like choose what she wants her life to be and that she has agency. And I think all three of them are getting to a point where they're like getting on their journeys, which is great.
Yeah. There was a really good line how she described Nesta, saying that
Mm.
like she doesn't have a limit of what she can do or something like that, right?
Mm. Like a bottomless well of magic inside of her that she might never be able to burrow to the bottom of or something.
No
Anger
limits,
that
I
will
think.
allow her to do whatever she.
Oh my goodness.
Does she like give it back though?
Speaking of which, there have been two lines about monsters that will pull you underneath the water and kill you, and I'm just like, I wonder if way back here, like Sarah had the kelpie in her pocket. She's like, oh, it's gonna
They definitely mentioned it, like at
happen.
least the name in this book.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen the name, but twice it's like, oh yeah, creatures that would pull you under the water and murder you. I'm like, yeah, definitely haven't seen a traumatic scene akin to that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it's it.
I'm glad she.
Hmm,
I
yeah,
was just gonna say, I'm glad that she got to go back to see her family.
yeah. Yeah, these are some of my least favorite chapters, if I'm being honest, because it's like I just want to get to Under the Mountain, but at the same time, it's a nice like check in with Nesta and Elaine. And these were the chapters that, when I was reading it the first time, made me hopeful that they were going to be in the books to come. And I didn't know like in what capacity, but I was hoping that at some point they would at least like come to Prithian to stay with Feyre, and like be part of the world up there. I did not know how that would happen.
So really, we just have to thank Tam Tam for that.
Thanks, Tamlin.
Yeah, they
Ooh,
thanks to him, they got their redemption in this book.
yeah. It's interesting though, because there is also like a line where they're talking about how, like Tamlin is against Hybern. Like he doesn't like what Hybern is doing across the water. And it's like, my guy, in less than one book, you are going to ally yourself with that dick. And you're going to like like try to take out Prithian. And it's just like how insane he went when someone took his pretty bauble. He just lost his mind.
He doesn't actually align with him though. He's like a secret agent. He's just being a little spy.
Barely. Barely. Barely.
He's trying his best to get information to help. Well, he eventually fights against him.
These are a Court of
When
Wayne
he
Ruin conversations that we're gonna have in the next few weeks.
Just the wrong intentions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see like the things that he thinks now and then the things that he's willing to do to get his property back. It's just
I don't know if that's how I would describe it.
How would you describe it?
Um,
Because you have to remember at that point, Feyre has already told him that they're done.
Yeah, he's just misguided, and an idiot.
I love the spectrum of Tamlin feelings. I
just feel like my guy is trying his best with what he thinks he thinks.
And I don't disagree with you. I don't. It's just like he's so thick. Just like he needs to think outside the box.
Yeah, these are very much conversations we'll have in later episodes, but we also have to remember like how many people are lying to him and trying to like soften the blow of Feyre leaving.
Yeah,
Lucian.
Right. So his already dumb brain has people manipulating it, and he just can't. He can't smart.
He can't. He's good at fighting, less good at thinking.
Yeah. Oh, Tim Tam.
If you need a thinker, hire Nesta.
Or Reese.
Reese.
Or anyone else. Lucian.
Well, and I forgot that Nesta hired the mercenary to like go with her to Prithian, and now I'm like, did I overthink the merchant in the last episode? Like, is that the full point, or does she still come back? I don't know.
And yeah, I don't know. This was the last we've seen of her. That was in this book, you know. And there has been characters that we've seen, you know, a lot in one book, and then we don't see them ever again. Alice.
I was just gonna say, this book again is making me super sad that like you don't see Alice after like the beginning of Aka War. Like after she's basically like, Feyre, do your worst. Like that's it. Like I'm still hoping. Like I'm still hoping we're gonna see her. I love Alice.
And she has her two nephews that I don't know. We never get a lot of details on them.
I kept being sure that we were going to see them again in the battle at Adriata, like that they were going to pop up and like hopefully not be dead, but we don't even see them then.
It's just weird because we don't ever get like how old. Like, does she say how old they are? I don't know if she does, and we never get who her sister is, or like just dead parents always screams like, who are the parents? That scene.
Yeah, they're definitely all from the Summer Court, which I had forgotten that even Alice is not originally from the Spring Court, that she says she like came to the Spring Court to help. And it was like, yeah, we all know what you were helping with. Like, well, the whole curse, like I think when everything with Amarantha happened, Alice and like other people signed up to go to the Spring Court to try to help break the curse.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But
is the Summer Court
parade ball or something like that, and then the curse happened? I think that's what we'll find out soon.
Yeah, true, because Alice has a bird mask.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I was
or her nephews, if they have it.
Like my mind is going, isn't Lucian technically from the Summer Court? Like, or is that
No,
it's not. It's the day court. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, Lucian has 3 courts he belongs to, but that's not one of them.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, he's day, autumn, and spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, our boy Tarquin's over in summer. Can't wait to see Tarquin again.
I can't wait to see him too.
I want them to be friends again.
I mean, they are, but like the point that we're at, they're okay. They're like friends-ish.
They're not enemies, but
right.
I don't think they trust each other anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to track Tarquin and Feyre's relationship throughout the reread. I do, because I do love him. He's great.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was sad
But
that they had to betray him.
That was hard.
Yeah. But we got a really cute, side couple with Amryn and Varian.
Varian. Yeah. They're great. Anything else from this section that you guys thought or
I
wanted
think
to?
we hit.
Yeah, I think so. We did say that we were going to do a personality quiz in this episode. We are going to save it for the next episode when we're all live together. So if you've taken it so far, come and tell us what you got on the Discord, because we're dying to know. We don't have to wait until next week, or save it or take it before our live episode next week. We're all super excited to hang out with you guys and chat about Under the Mountain. And we will warn you now that we're gonna, I think I've got at least one thing to say about other series that Sarah has written. So this is your warning that we're done with ACOTAR only spoilers, and we're gonna go talk about other books. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you all next week for more ACOTAR. And hopefully you have paused or turned us off now, because we're about to talk about things you might not know about. Did you guys see anything crossover-y in this section?
Oh, I said this in the chat in our group chat about how the human fairy conflict in this book is very similar to the veneer human conflict in Crescent City.
It
And
is.
there was a line that's also supports that theory about how, for was it like 500 years ago, there were mortals or fairies that, fought on the fairy side. Wait,
Yeah.
did I say that right? Or did I get it
Yeah.
mixed up?
Yeah. Feyre learns that there were fae that did fight for the humans. And I think she's talking to Tamlin at the time, and he was like, do you think they would have lasted that long? Or it might have been Lucian. I forget who she was talking to. But I remember that.
That historical, lesson learned history.
Yeah, and we know that it lines up with around the time that the Asteri would have been here, right? Like, does that war, or would it have been after?
no, I think the Asteri were way, way before. I want to say it was like
Thousands of years?
thousands of years.
Mm,
Because, like, if it had only been 500 years, Tamlin would have remembered there being a random other court that disappears.
that's fair. Yeah, I did notice that no one so far has mentioned the Dusk Court, and I still think that that was an idea. I Again, Sarah has said that she didn't plan on crossover until Silver Flames, but it just seems so obvious to me that there should have been an eighth court. Like, it's right there. Like, you've got 4 seasons and you've got 4 times of day, but for some reason you only picked 3 to be courts. Like, but no one has mentioned the Dusk Court.
We'll definitely keep an eye out.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been looking for any mention of another court or a lost court or something, but
Yeah. And
I
it's
don't
weird
think they
how,
mention it until Silver Flames.
if you look at the map, there was night has such a wide range. So there could be, there could have been room for another quote there.
Oh, for sure. Well, I think we know that there was a Dusk Court now, after
Mhm.
getting through Silver Flames, and I can't remember where they say it was. If it's the islands, it might be
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
islands that are off of the Night Court.
I think it was the islands. I still have my screenshots from Silver Flames from when we read it, and I couldn't say anything to you.
Boop 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 boop. Yep. Sounds like people went through a wall and never came back. Sounds interesting.
And I was trying to see what years because I could have sworn I took pictures of years, but it's a lot. I
That
have pages of screenshots.
You have got to synthesize that for when we go through Silver Flames. Bring Jamie's and my original thoughts right back and just throw it at us.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when you guys were dumb? That happened.
Remember
Oh,
when
goodness.
Brooke got like 100% of this theory right?
I
She
really
really
Called
did.
it.
I noticed it, and, like, I knew that something had happened, that people had clearly, like, been lost and had gone somewhere else, but I kept thinking they were, like, they got absorbed by the wall or, like, were still back there and dead. Like, I didn't know exactly what it was, but
Yeah, so it's 15,000 years, not 500 years.
and but yeah, it is that is a really good, parallel, Jamie, the like constant fighting between the Fae and the humans. And I think we have to ask ourselves, like, is that because of the like inherent racism and like it's gonna happen, like they're gonna have fights, or like was it from the Asteri, like, messing with things and making it so that there was like a hierarchy between Fae and humans? Because they're like very much the reason that it's happening in Crescent City. Um, but
Um, yeah, I just found it. It's talking about how 15,000 years. Well, first they have the dialect hasn't been spoken in 15,000 years, which I feel like is questionable,
yeah,
talking about things that overlap with Throne of Glass. But then, yeah, the line that's directly the Fae are not the first masters of this world, according to our oldest legends. Now, almost most now forgotten, we were created by beings who were near gods and monsters. The Daglan, they ruled for millennia and enslaved us and the humans. They were petty and cruel and drank the magic of the land like wine.
yeah. And I mean, honestly, hats off to Sarah. Like, if she genuinely was not thinking of crossover at this point, she does a really good job of like laying herself up for it anyway. Because like talking about all of the like the gods that used to rule the Fae that we have forgotten, like our forgotten gods, and like it's there. So she does a really good job of tying that in to make sense with the other series.
Yeah. Can I just say how painful it was reading Silver Flames like back then and not being able to say anything?
I can't even imagine, honestly.
I was gonna say all the gaslighting.
So much gaslighting.
So
Elena
much.
is very good at gaslighting.
Really is.
Mhm. Um, One thing that I noticed, that could just be that, like, sometimes authors like use the same ideas and whatnot, but something that I noticed for the first time in this book as I was reading it, especially, and I think I just forgot to mention it in the last episode, but when Feyre like shoots the wolf dead in the eye, I was like, she has got great aim. She has like taught herself perfect aim. You know who else has like amazing aim and gets bullseyes all the time? Aelin. You know who else has amazing aim and gets bullseyes all the time? Bryce. Like weirdly, like a quality that all three of them have. And it's like, is it just because Sarah's super into like archery and shooting? Maybe. Is it weird that maybe all three of them somehow have like perfect dead on aim? I don't know. But it was something that caught my attention this time.
I just love strong heroines.
Right. And it's like, we all understand that like they have similarities, but it just seemed like it could have been something different where like, and obviously like Aelin and Feyre and Bryce, like they all have like other qualities that they're good at. It was just interesting that this one specific, like she's talked about multiple times, like in Throne of Glass, like Aelin and Selena at that point is always, like she has to purposely not get the bullseye so that people won't get suspicious. And then there's like the scene with Bryce at the shooting range where Hunt is like, "Hot damn," and it's just like, it's just interesting that that is like a skill that they all share. I don't know. I don't know
Badass
if it's anything.
females. I love
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Who's
Maybe
excited
it's
for them to be a girl gang?
oh god, I can't wait for Girl Gang. And like maybe there's a scene where they all have their different weapons and they're just like like who knows. Yeah.
Did you guys catch Did you guys catch like the little lines from different series? And it could just be like they're just like she's just reusing some lines. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Um like a better world.
That was the one
from
that I was just gonna go find what page it was on.
and then the other one was, I can't remember the exact line, but she does say, "Earth and blood."
Yeah. I highlighted that
Does she
too.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she describes humans as being, creatures of earth and blood. Yes. So on page 252, um, yeah, she says, "The other servants were human too, all of them restless, not at all like the utter stillness with which the high fae held themselves, unfinished, graceless creatures of earth and blood." And again, like,
Mhm.
maybe authors just like reusing what Sarah thinks of when she thinks of humans, but it's like just very specific.
And humans are categorized under that,
Yes.
I forgot what they're called in Crescent City, right? They're under the House of
The House of Earth and
Earth.
Blood.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yep. Very, very specific. And especially just like, she could have even just like swapped the words too. Like it was just like a very, very specific mention. But yeah, I can't remember where it was talking about the better world, but it was Feyre saying that, until now, I forget if it was like her dad was talking to her about a better world and she could
It was
never
back
like,
at
yeah.
Yeah, it was back at the Archeron house, but I can't
Mhm.
remember who she was talking to.
I
I think
just
it
looked it
was,
up on the ebook, and she's talking to Nesta in
mm,
chapter 31 about there being a better world. But then in chapter 25, she's talking about how she never let herself imagine there was a better world. Um,
yeah.
it pops up like 4 different times.
Yeah,
Um,
I never understood because I couldn't believe
mhm,
that it was even possible until
yeah,
now, talking about a better world.
yeah. And then to Nesta, she's like, "There's a better world, and like once we get there, I'll find you." And Nesta's like, "Don't bother." Classic Nesta.
Well, and it's interesting too because Faye was talking about Prithian, right? Like as
Mhm,
being the better world and that like they could help the world be better at the same
mhm,
time. And like we know that Prithian is the one world that has been able to expel the Asteri and like is that's like the example of how to
mhm.
live without their influence. So it is interesting. To think that she's referring to Prithian as a better world, and like the whole time through Throne of Glass, Aelin is fighting to get the Valg out to have her better world, and they're all gonna have to come together to create a better world across the board because poor Crescent City needs some help.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really good catches. Those were some. Did anybody see anything else that we want to chat about this time? I was too distracted by Tamlin's muscles, for better or worse. I was like, "Ooh,
All the
Tamlin's
baldric.
muscles. Oh, Tamlin's muscles." Yeah. Yeah, so Under the Mountain for next week, which I'm super excited about.
Me too.
Whenever I convince someone to read this book for the first time, if they have trouble getting through the first part, I keep telling them like the book really starts like at the end. Like the series really starts at the end of the book. Especially like certain guys that I've gotten to read this. They're like, it's just a romance novel. And I'm like, yes, I can see how your untrained eyes would think that, but like just give it a little, you'll get there. But yeah, Under the Mountain is cool.
So cool.
I feel like I'm excited to read the descriptions of Under the Mountain. Just
Yes.
like how things are described is going to be interesting because I think this is the first and only time we really get insight into like what the hollowed out chambers underneath important looking mountains look like.
Yeah, we've talked about that with other series that we've done together about how there keep seeming to be like under the mountains and like caverns and stuff that may or may not be like spaceships. I don't know, working theories, but it will be very interesting to see the descriptions of Under the Mountain and how they line up with other underneath mountains.
Other underneath mountains that may now have been caved in
Yeah,
or exploded.
yeah, yeah, that. But yeah, all right, awesome. Thanks for joining us, guys. And like I said, we'll let you know date and time so you can join us in real time for our episode discussing the end of this book. And we are so excited to keep going through this whole series with you. So thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Bye.